All right, so as this CNBC article says, Alan Greenspan says economy will start to fade very dramatically because of entitlement burden. I don't know, Alan Greenspan. I feel like the economy will start to fade due to vast money printing, quantitative easing, or tightening. It doesn't matter the form of centralization. Interest rates going up or down, it's going to go negative anyway. We're all on the edge of a cliff here. The bond market is like a bloodbath, and the yield curve data just shows it's something that has always shown recession on the near horizon, which we will get into further in a moment. But first, I want to go into the story. So as the article goes into, economic growth won't last as the U.S. labor under the burden of growing entitlement programs and weakness around the world, former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan told CNBC. The longtime central bank chief repeated his warnings about the weight that Social Security, Medicare, and other programs are having on what have been otherwise solid gains over the past few years. I think the real problem is over the long run. We've got the significant continued drain coming from entitlements, which are basically draining capital investment dollar for dollar, he told CNBC's Sarah Eisen during a Squawk on the Street interview. Weird name for a show. Without any major change in entitlements are going to rise. Why? Because the population is aging. There's no way to reverse that, and the politics of it are awful, as you well know, Greenspan added. While he said the economy looks reasonably good in the short run, he expects that over the long term, growth fades very dramatically. The man known as the Maestro, good name for an organized crime boss, while he ran the Fed 19 years from the Reagan to the George W. Bush administration, spoke as signs for growth have turned more positive lately. In its latest GDP forecast, the Atlanta Fed now sees the increase running at 2.3%. A month ago, the tracker had put the level at 0.2%. However, Greenspan said much of the improvement has come from a rise in stock market prices. He sees a stock market aura in the economy. A rise of 10% in the S&P 500 corresponds to a 1% real GDP increase, he said. The S&P 500 has risen nearly 16% in 2019 and is on track for its best performance in history should current trends hold. The economy is going to begin to fade out because Europe is not doing well and will still have a problem where there's a very substantial fiscal problem associated with entitlements. So, okay, it's not a very detailed article, obviously, and doesn't go into the meat and potatoes of all this, but let's kind of go into this quickly, guys, because first of all, I want to mention something that I first learned in the book End the Fed by Ron Paul years ago, which pointed out that Alan Greenspan knows about this stuff. He's actually mostly anti-fiat currency. He knows about the problems of centralization. Imagine, it's not just stupidity, imagine the evil of someone that knows about this stuff but perpetuates it and enforces it, and it leads into this horrific poverty, the destruction of middle class, the inflation, the price of living, which hurts wages, which people go in circles with, which they say we need to raise wages instead of looking at the problem that causes the wages to not be able to have a lot of purchasing power on the market. We are looking at an evil person. And the Federal Reserve System, like, no matter what, gold standard, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you have a legal tender system which tells people that they have to use a certain currency and that they cannot use any other currency, otherwise capital gains is an investment, blah, 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 the government's going to extort you. And it kind of pigeonholes people, and then the people are forced to pay off the interest on the debt on a contract they never signed, usury that they never agreed to. It's involuntary. And you know how I feel about involuntary things, of course, for those that watch us often. The economy is on the brink of disaster, and it has for a long time. And people will say, you've been saying this for a long time, and they'd be right in saying that. I said it in 2006. I warned about 2007 and 2008 at that time. And you know how old I was? I was 12. Because it isn't that difficult to understand this system. You read a couple books, and it basically lays out the very easy economic lessons that are completely basic, everything from Hazlitt to Rothbard to Mises to Hayek. It's really, really not a difficult system to comprehend. These central planners make it complicated by adding numbers and symbols and piling paper on top of paper and hoping that people will get too confused and freaked out. to actually focus on it and try and understand it. So, first of all, I just want to mention, as it kind of went into or alluded to at the beginning, so the yield curve is inverted. That's always shown recession on the horizon, and then at the same time, all fiat currencies throughout all of history have eventually reverted to their true value of zero. They always have, they always will, going back to 1024 AD in China. So I should mention, it doesn't matter Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Reagan, Bush, whatever, Carter, it doesn't matter. Like, people keep focusing on presidents, like, let's replace the puppet, let's replace the leader, let's replace the talking head to fix the economy. That isn't how it works. Like, we've reported lately how, Trump is trying to push Herman Cain for the board of the Federal Reserve, of course, and then Stephen Moore, who's a Fed critic, and everyone's like, he's going after the Fed. He's not going after the Fed. He's saying that they should lower interest rates 0.5%. How is that going after the Fed? Same with Kudlow. How is that going after the Fed? That's saying that they just want a different kind of cancer, a different kind of centralization, and people mix that into whatever makes them comfortable and, confirms their bias, their idea that they must be right, that they need to be comfortable in this lie, this deception that some president is going to save them. Organized crime doesn't solve organized crime. Cancer doesn't cure cancer. Kerosene doesn't put out fire. Doesn't matter what the intention of the president is anyway, because presidents don't have a say. They are the talking head. So, folks, we have to stop depending on the same criminals that are creating the problem in the first place, the same complex, to solve this problem, and stop looking to maybe the Fed can change this thing or that thing when it's not going to change the root cause of the problem. The destruction of the middle class, the interest on the debt that people are paying off in mass, how it props up wars. The monetary system is propped up by wars, and wars are propped up by the monetary system. They depend on each other. That's why we see so many crises followed by wars, going back to World War I, of course. We need to stop this, folks. We need to look at independent, individual, free market, decentralized options here. And there's more solutions than problems. But the economy is eventually going to fall. We cannot say when, but we know it will happen. And for that reason, we must be prepared. And it's stupid not to be. So in that case, look at properly decentralized, fundamentally useful cryptocurrencies, technology, as well as gold and silver, and diversify, in my opinion. Not investment advice. And it's not about investment, it's about preserving your purchasing power and having wealth insurance. But, overall, we need to replace this system on the free market. If we do not obey, if we do not submit, it only takes a few of us, a small percentage of us, to really overthrow this whole system. It doesn't lead to us protesting in the streets and asking people to do things for us. It comes down to you as an individual, as a responsible, free, self-sustainable individual. Stop looking for people to save us from ourselves, to save us from the things that those people are committing in the first place. I don't know. It's been going on for 1,000 years in the case of fiat currencies, and it's just really frustrating to go over this over and over again. And people say, well, maybe Trump. People said maybe Obama. People said Bush at the time. I remember. I remember looking back at the 2000 election, and Bush was talking about auditing the Fed. Whatever happened to that? He was also pretty non-interventionist. Whatever happened to that? How many times are we going to go over this? Over and over again. Always the anti-establishment candidate, quote unquote, wins. And we just depend more and more and more and sit back apathetically waiting and waiting. And people keep saying it's not apathy to support, Trump and sit back because he's doing things for us. No, you need to do things for yourself. Stop being a dependent slave. Government is organized crime. You do not have a right to enforce your ideas on other people. You don't want socialists enforcing their ideas on you. So why should you think that it's any morally better to think you have a good idea and enforce those ideas on everyone else? It's not how this works. Government is organized crime. Central banks are organized crime. They work hand in hand. They prop up monopolies, destroy competition, destroy small businesses, destroy the impoverished, destroy people, push them into dependency, and then those people that are dependent beg for help from the government just by design. And that is exactly where they want you. If Trump had any say over this, he would be shot in the head by the establishment. Stop fooling yourself, folks. Stop being dependent. Stop waiting for help and help yourself. Help yourself, help your family, grow your wealth, preserve your wealth, be a free individual. Self-responsibility, individual responsibility is a hallmark of freedom itself, and government cannot give you freedom. They can only take it away, and maybe if they legalize something, they could give it back to you at a price, and that price is extortion and monopolization. Stop being dependent, folks, and pave your own paths, and stop thinking that this criminal organization that's been elected over and over again with different puppets, different heads, different anti-establishmentarianists, or whatever you want to call it, for thousands and thousands of years, going back to ancient Greece, is going to change anything. It's been thousands of years, and has only been an incremental frog boil into further collectivism as we get poorer, and the world gets more and more crazy, and we get more and more controlled, and we are led to the slaughter like a bunch of stupid sheep on a farm surrounded by fence, acting as if, oh, it's all good. We got a new leader. He expanded the fenced area a bit, so we got a little bit more area to roam. We got grass to eat, so I feel free. Oh, wait, what's that guy over there? That shepherd. He's telling me to come over there. Okay, I'm going to go follow him. He's giving me all this grass. I better follow him. Oh, what's that big cutting device? Why is he shaving the fluff off of me? Well, wait, why is he killing me? We keep getting led off to the slaughter with a smile on our face, and we can't continuously be slaves like this. It's not 1984 anymore. It's 2084. We've gone far and beyond. And we need to end this now, as a cashless society, centrally planned cashless society, is unrolled on our doorstep, and they're getting desperate. You know why they're getting desperate? Because they know they can lose to us. And we must ensure that they do lose. But that comes down to you as an individual. Not protest, not revolution, evolution. And that evolution comes from technology and the rollout of new technology that we can innovate on that market and grow the market from individual demand rather than collectivist slavery and enforcement. You do not have a right over your neighbor. You only have a right over yourself. Stop putting kerosene on fire. Anyway, until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.